Using the iMapp comparables tool. So in this video, let's take a deeper dive into what the comparables tool is and how to use it. So when you're on a property report like we are now, and if you go up here to the right hand side and you just click find comparables, it's going to bring us to the comparables page. Before we do that though, let's take a look at some of the things that are happening in the background. When you do click this button, what iMapp is looking for is comparable properties that are the same type as this one. And in this case, it's looking for the same property use code as this property, which is a residential single-family home. So it's not going to pull in condos or duplexes or anything like that. It's going to pull in other residential single-family homes. What it's also looking for is qualified sales. The comparable properties that iMapp presents to you will always be full arm's length transactions, and they have to be qualified. A good example of a qualified sale and not a qualified sale would be if Bob, we're storylining this, and we say Bob was going to sell the family home to his daughter Jenny, and the market value of the family home today was, just say, $350,000, and Bob decided to sell the home to his daughter for $75,000. It's probably not going to be considered a full arm's length transaction. But if you'd like to learn more about the sales qualifiers, down here at the bottom of the page of the sales area, you have a legend here, and I would strongly encourage you just to contact your local county. This is something I did personally a couple years ago, and just ask them about what they're using to qualify the sales. So we're going to go back up here, and we're just going to click Find Comparables, and it brings us to the comparables page. And once we're on the comparables page, you see up here at the top left, it's going to have the subject property that we were just on. This is what we're trying to find comparables for. It's going to have a map in the middle. This map in the middle is not interactive, but it does have a series of numbered icons that are on the map. These are going to be your comparable properties that iMapp's finding initially. Below this, you're going to have the projected sale price, and you're going to have two ranges. You're going to have a range based on value ratio, and you're going to have a range based on price per square foot. And the price per square foot, right here, if we go down to the explanation of calculations, price per square foot is just the last sales price divided by the total building living area. And then the value ratio is just the last sales price divided by the market value. And a value ratio below 0.95 signifies that the property sold for less than market value. So anything below 0.95 is just kind of telling us it's sold below market value. It could have been a quick claim that does not reflect a true property value. A very high value ratio may indicate that a property has been split or it's been improved since the county assessor's office assigned the market value to it. So we have the value ratio right here, but then also we have that right here as well. Market value, I'm highlighting too much here. Market value ratio, I can't highlight this one line here. Right here is also the market value ratio. And just looking at this first one here, just as an example, if it's saying anything below 0.95, sold below market value, we can see right here this one's well above 0.95, and it's selling above market value. We will come back to this section here talking about market value ratios a little later in the video. And then underneath the map, we're going to have statistics about comparable properties. A lot of this is self-explanatory, but I'll just touch on it. So we're going to have a sales price, a living area, a market value, price per square foot, and value ratio. And then we're going to have a high, a low, a median, and an average of these different attributes. And next, we're going to come to the comparison criteria. And when you look in this section here, you're going to see there's some defaults already selected for you. You're going to see on the lot and the living, it's going to default to plus or minus 20 on the lot and the living. It's also going to default to a mile and a year for the distance and time frame. We're going to get to this in just a second, and the rest of these are all just set to ignore. And this is where the true strength of iMapp shines through, because for anybody in real estate, licensed realtors and non-licensed folks that are using tools to pull comparables. So many of them do not let you dial in your comparable and wrap your comparable around your market, your geographic area, what's happening right then. So many of them do not let you do this. What I mean by that is just that you have options. When you click into these tiles, you have options. Part of those options is this right here is what I think is the most interesting tile in this section here, and it's using best available sales. And what best available sales is a blend of everything that is recorded with the county currently, as well as everything that's happened through your MLS that might not have been recorded with the county yet. So it could have happened today or yesterday or even last week, knowing that some counties could take a week or a couple weeks or even months to record a sale for whatever reason they have. If it happened through the MLS, you're still going to see that information here, and it's blended in with the tax-based sales. Now, if we click on this, I'm going to click in here, and I'm just going to change this to using tax source sales. You're going to see everything is going to reload. We may have completely different comparables in different areas, and this is everything that has been recorded with the county. So it doesn't matter if it happened through the MLS or not. It has to be recorded with the county. And then when we change this again, I'm going to say using MLS source sales. This is where some of that power comes in. So using MLS source sales, click on this. Now these are all the sales that some of these might not be recorded with the county, but they did happen through the MLS. And we're going to get some supplemental information here. So when we use MLS source sales, when you're looking at the list view of comparable properties that iMapp is pulling in, you're going to notice on some of these on the left hand side, when we're using MLS source sales, all of these should have a R logo here. If we're using best available sales, you'll see some of them do and some of them don't. Some of them happen through the MLS, some did not. But for the ones that did happen with a realtor involved, now we can get some supplemental information. So when you go to the R and you hover your mouse over this, you're going to see there's a small pop-up, and it just says listing number, days on market, DOM, 38, sales price, list price, 100%. And then if we go down a little bit farther and look at another one, we're going to see listing number, days on market, 140, sales price, list price, 96%. And this is going to give you an idea of what your fellow realtors are pricing things at currently or close to currently, because we're looking up here in the last year, what your fellow realtors are pricing things at and how long they were on the market at that price, days on market. If we were to change this again and say using active listings, we're going to get totally different options here again. And then we go in here and we're going to see on this one here, it's got an R logo and it just says listing number, days on market, 114. But it's giving you an idea of what they're pricing it at now and how long it's been on the market. For some reason, every once in a while you're going to see something like this pop up. So I just want you to know, if you've chosen using MLS active listings, the only place we're pulling this from is your MLS. We're not pulling this from the tax database for sales. This is all coming from your MLS active listings. The only thing we're going to see here are actives. Every once in a while you're going to see like a sticker doesn't land on here. Not really sure what's happening there, but what you need to know is up here, we're only pulling it from your MLS, and this is where we're getting the information from. Okay, but what we're also seeing here is just as we go down the list, we still get that supplemental information. So if we go up here and we say, hover over this again, listing number, days on market, 16. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to change this back to using best available sales. And I just want to point out a few other things to you concerning the comparable properties that iMapp is pulling in. So everybody's going to want to look at data differently. For each person, their mind is just going to absorb the data differently or take it in different. And if you go over here, if you go order by, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, so I view all this as views, so this is a tax source, using tax source sales. That's a view. It's only pulling up sales that happen that are recorded with the county. Same thing with the MLS source sales, so on, and also in here. So you're going to have different views where you can order the data differently here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to say market value ratio high to low. And when we do that, what we're seeing is what we know about the market value ratio, the MVR, which is also right here. Oop, highlight that better. Right here is this is the value ratio. And what we know about the value ratio is that a value ratio is the last sales price divided by the market value, and that a value ratio below 0.95 signifies that the property sold for less than market value. So when you order this by market value ratio high to low, what you'll start to see is, with everything that has a realtor involved at the very top, all the ones with a realtor are all selling well above market value. And then as we go down this list a little bit, you're going to start seeing less and less R symbols. Even at the bottom, the last three are just tax-based sales. We don't really know what was going on with these, but a realtor wasn't involved. So we do want to make you aware that you can change your views and just look at the data differently here by ordering it. I'm also going to remove these sections next. I'm going to show you something. So as you're moving along and you're creating your CMA, you're going to want to start dialing things in. And at some point, you're going to want to remove comparables from the calculation. Okay? And how you do that, I'm going to remove these right now. I'm just going to click on this X. So in these sections, if you just click up here in the top corner, it just removes everything. So I just removed everything. Then if you want to put it back, what I'm going to put back is the projected price range first, and the statistics, the explanation, the criteria. But I'm going to get rid of these top two here, and I'm just going to leave because I want this in plain view. And I want you to be able to see, just kind of catch this in your peripheral vision, that iMapp's doing all the calculations for you on the fly. So as you're dialing things in and you're changing distance and just different criteria in the criteria, the location and the time frame, you may want to remove comparables. So to do that, I'm going to deselect this checkbox here, and you're going to see all the calculations change on the fly. So I'm just going to remove the first one. I'm going to remove the second one, third one, and where those are at, they're just down here at the bottom. I'm just going to add those back in. Go back up top the page. And then I'm going to add back in the criteria and the explanation. And there's one other thing that I haven't spoken about so far that's been sitting right in front of us. And that's going to be the click here for less strict search. And I'm just going to open one of these up in a new tab, because if you remember that when we kind of waiting for this to load, you'll remember that when we started the webinar off, I said there's some things that iMapp's looking for, and the most important one right here is the property use code. So if you're pulling a comparable on a single family home, you want to pull in other single family homes. But it really goes off of the residential or multifamily or commercial, this first part here. So you're going to see with residential, there's single family. But then there's also residential townhome, and there's multiple different types of residential that are just a freestanding home. And when you come over here, so I'm going to go back to that last page, and when you click this right here, click here for less strict search, the idea behind this is that if you're, so right now it's only pulling in other single family homes. It's not pulling in townhomes and things of that nature. It's only pulling in single family. And when you go less strict search, I'm gonna frame this in a different way and say, what if this said multifamily, and the comparable that we were trying to pull a report on was a duplex, okay? And so if it was a duplex, it would say multifamily right here, and then it would have a number of units, but we would only pull in multifamily duplex with 2 units. What if you couldn't find any other, when you're looking at the map, what if you couldn't find any other duplex that, duplexes that had sold in the distance that you gave iMapp or the time frame that you gave iMapp? You couldn't find any other duplexes, and this is kind of like your last shot. You just need to pull in something to get some kind of reference from. You could come back here and say less strict search, and what the less strict search is going to do is, where we were only pulling in duplexes before that, when you go less strict search, Now it might pull in anything that's multifamily, like a triplex or a fourplex that may be in the same time frame and distance that you're looking for. And that's just if you have something that you want to reference. You just need to get something to pull in to reference to start, looking at what a good calculation for this would be. So we just got a couple other sections to talk about on this page, and then we can start to dial this comp in. So over here on the right hand side, so we do know now how to add and remove sections on the report, how to navigate the report, and how to look at the data that's in the report, how to change the views of it. You can also go right here and go small map, large map. I want to bring this back down to a small map. And some of this stuff is going to be a little self-explanatory, but I'm just going to point it out. You have to print this page, save as a PDF, email this page. For some of you that are using tools like Cloud CMA, if you were to click on this right here, it's going to give you options if you want to export the comps data, and it's asking you right here, standard data download, CSV format, or you can have right here include the subject property in the download as well. If we go up here a little bit farther, I do not have an RPR account. I'm not a licensed member. I'm not a dues paying member of NAR, so I don't have access to RPR. If I click on this, I'm just going to hit the the login wall. You're going to have Google Maps, Google Driving Directions, Bing Maps, and then if we click right here in the demographics, I'm just going to have some different graphical views here. We talked about how to present this to you folks, and what we ended up with is we're just going to show you that right here you can dial in different radiuses here. So you got the mile and the 3 miles. You can get different reports on here, and I'm going to go up here. I clicked on the wrong one there. Going to go back to comparables. So I was just in the demographics and I was trying to click. I thought I was clicking comparables and I clicked property tax. Next one I'm going to go into is residential MLS stats. In here as well, this is something that you're going to want to talk to your broker about, but you can really adjust the settings in here as well. You got new versus sold, you got all sales, you have sold listings, and this is going to be looking at your absorption rates. You can go over here and you can dial this in by the subdivision, by the block, by the census tract. You can chop it up a little bit, go in single family or all residential, condominiums, price ranges and things of that nature. I'm just going to go back up here and click on the find comparables. So now that we know how to navigate the comparables tool, the different sections of it, rearrange data and look at it differently, let's start to dial this in a little bit. So what I would like to say is if you're going to pull a comparable, you should be at least familiar with the area. Either that is your marketing area that you usually work within, or be able to at least drive the area and take a look at some of the comparable properties you're thinking of using. Go look at the surrounding properties, their condition. Just take a look at the area, because what's saying that is I'm in Minneapolis right now and I'm pulling a comparable on a property in Miami-Dade, and my problem is when I'm looking at this map right here, just the flat data, the map and the data itself, we have this highway right here. I have no idea what happens with the quality of life or the property values once we cross the highway. And same thing goes for some of the cross streets, and why I bring this up is where I live in an area in Minneapolis, on my street, if I were to walk outside pretty much any time of the day, 2 in the afternoon, 4 in the morning, doesn't matter what time of the day, I feel pretty secure on my street. But if I go just 2 streets over, if it's even slightly getting dark, and if I'm on the sidewalk, I can absolutely assure you I'm aware of who's around me. If there's anybody on the sidewalk or even driving, I'm aware of who's around me, because the condition of just the living conditions change that much dramatically. So for yourself, when you're pulling these comparables, you want to look at the surrounding area as well. As far as dialing this in, the comparable, What I've always been told with comparables is that you're looking for at least 2, if not 3 or more good comparables. And so these ones that we're pulling in, we're trying to find at least 2, if not 3 or more. And that we're also trying to pull the last high sale and the last low sale within 15 to 25% of themselves. That anything over that 15 to 25% mark just really isn't a accurate comparable. And that on top of that, it's just apples to apples, oranges to oranges. What we're doing here is we're comparing the attributes of the property, the beds and the baths and the square footage, things of that nature, just trying to average everything out and get the best idea of the value. So with that in mind, let's go down here, and you're going to see that iMapp, when you start dialing this in, iMapp's going to have some defaults here. I've had quite a few people tell me that lot size doesn't matter. So it's up to you how you build your comparable, but you might want to say ignore lot size. And then that's going to plus or minus to 20 on the living area. Pretty much everybody I've ever spoke to in Florida has told me we want to go back at least a half mile on distance. This is where you're trying to get it to, the minimum starting distance here is a half mile. And you see once I change this right here, this blue band right here popped up. It's just telling you, hey, you might want to update your criteria because you might lose some of these comps when you click this button right here. So let's click that. So I click that, and now we have less comps. And what I'm also going to do is, I've always been told, go back 6 months. 6 months, you want to look at the recent sales. So we're going to say 6 months. And I'm going to update this again. And you're seeing we have less and less comparables. And you're going to notice that I left this alone, the beds and the baths. And whereas iMapp is a company that will tell you it's pretty proud of its data quality, its data accuracy, legions of realtors are going to tell you that county data, so where we're getting the data from is the county, and the county data, legions of realtors will tell you over the decades that county data is notoriously inaccurate for beds and baths. So a lot of people are going to leave this just as ignore. Okay, so if we dial this into a half mile in the last 6 months, and what we're still trying to do is pull these 2 numbers right here within the 15 to 25% of themselves. We're not doing that yet, but we're still pulling in a lot of comparables. What happens if we try to pull this in a little bit closer? What happens if we try to pull this into the same subdivision? And before I do this, the reason I would take a look at the same subdivision is that most developers are going to build out a subdivision in a short period of time with the same types of floor plans and square footage and beds and baths and things of that nature. It is your best Hail Mary for trying to find apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Same developers, same types of homes, floor plans, beds and baths. So I'm going to pull this in, same subdivision. And you're seeing we get this blue band here again. So I'm going to go right here and I'm going to say update criteria. Now we're pulling in 4 comparables. So we can investigate these. And what we're also doing is we're pulling this in that we're getting closer to that 15 to 25% mark. So let's investigate some of these. As far as apples to apples, oranges to go are going, we're seeing that some of these have 2 baths. Some of these have a garage. And some of these have a pool. So let's take a look at these properties. If we click on this folio link right here, it's going to open up the property report in another page. And just for your own workflow, if this is something that you're going to be using in your comparable report, you might want to print out this page. But what I'm after first coming to this page is first, I'm looking for photos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, go to MLS listing info, and we're seeing on this one, we're not seeing any kind of photos at all. So we're not getting anything there. Let's go right here, Google Maps. So we don't really know the quality of this home. So let's go. We could go into RPR. And if I click on this link right here, I'm not a dues paying member of NAR. So I get the login wall. Okay, so my next bet right here, if I don't have any kind of MLS imagery, is I'm going to click on Google Maps. I'm going to click on Google Maps, and then I'm going to zoom in and take a look at that property. And I'm still not getting something good here. There's like a big old tree in the way there, but that's one way to get some imagery. If you know, this is pretty much our last attempt at trying to get you know, without going in person. And this is what I advise you to do. If we're just looking at the flat data, not really getting any good idea of what this property looks like. Okay, so I'm going to close this window, and I'm going to go back to the property tax. But if this was something that you were going to use, you might want to come up here to the left hand side, click on the folio link. You might want to print out this page. You know, if this is something that you're going to be using, you might want to print this out. Same thing goes with the last sale on the doc right here. You might want to click on the document link. And if we click on the actual sale, we can go here, we can get the document image. We could print this out as well. And you might want to do this for all of the comparables that you're going to use. I'm just going to close this page here. But what I'm seeing the biggest difference here on this one is just that the one with the pool, right here, for 480,000, the one with the pool has the biggest disproportionate value range. So if we were going to remove this one right here, none of the other properties have a pool. The only other really big difference here is going to be the one with the garage, which is right here, the one with the garage. If I were to remove this one, now we are pulling this into that 15 to 25% mark. Pretty easy. All right, folks, we're going to thank you for your time with this, and have a great one.